Peculiar sunflower. It's got a flower in a flower. Bumblebees like it though. Chocolat, I think it's called. I thought I'd try out my new video camera on the allotment. And these have been blackcurrants, but they're just dripping with blackcurrants. I've already picked a lot of blackcurrants here. Underneath there somewhere there are still lots. I picked several kilos, some of which has gone into making wine. Some has gone to Douglas's mum to make jam. I'm not sure with this camera now which way to point it. But, right, so there is another chocolate sunflower in the dahlia bed, although it's fallen over. And there are lots of dahlias which need picking and going into a vase. The bumblebees seem to like them, so let's see how things are going on in here. Inside the little greenhouse is the caracello cucumber, but it doesn't seem to have got going yet. Nice lettuce coming on. This cucumber, although it's okay, hasn't produced any fruit yet, which is a bit of a shame. And this Puna cucumber is the same, it's not really got going yet. And this one's had one fruit, this cucumber, the deli cucumber, has had one fruit on it, but hasn't really got going. Not sure what's the matter with that. Here we go. Tithonia coming on there nicely. Outside the greenhouse. Lovely dahlias. Quite a number of different sorts. So look, the sweet corn's coming on nicely. You can almost watch it grow, it's growing so quickly. The potatoes are flowering. I think those have finished flowering. Sapomira. And those peas, they were magnificent as they were growing. They've all turned yellow and seem to be dying off. I suspect that's because the moulds have been tunnelling underneath, which is a real nuisance. So I'm going to have to think about that next year, what to do about that. There's the gooseberry bushes underneath here, two of them. At the far end are two blackcurrants, which once again I've had masses of blackcurrants from. So these today are gooseberries, according to Monty Don. I need to prune them, so that's what I'm going to do, and then I can take the netting off. The broad beans seem to have got this rust, which is okay because they're coming to the end of their harvest. And so I'll do some picking of those in a minute. And the runner beans are one of the failures of the plot really, because they just haven't done anything. We got slugged. Oh no, here we go. There's some beans. Now, I think they're called rattlesnake pole beans. So that's good. I didn't notice that. And it has got to the top, but it's only 2 plants out of several that I put in there. And the other exotic bean that went in there just hasn't done anything. But these are my pumpkins and the butternut squash, which are beginning to get going very, very late. But slugged. Same with these are later even. But so I'm going to have to think about slug protection for next year. So these successes and failures continue, but the broccoli is there, which looks really good. All netted and protected from the cabbage whites, although occasionally you do find 1 or 2 getting in. And the kale is coming on nicely. I can pick some of that. It's funny how here, can you see the slugs have climbed up the netting and eating the kale through the netting. Devious creatures. And nasturtiums there coming on, and amongst the runner beans. And the cucumber. Once again, these cucumbers have grown. They produced a couple of fruit. There's one coming on, but not much. A little bit disappointing, but we will see. So my next door neighbour has put up a massive polytunnel. Not quite finished yet, but looks pretty good. So the blueberry bushes look okay. But got to keep an eye on them because the moles will tunnel and then things will start to not look so good like that. So I might have to investigate that a bit. But these peas are good. But sadly, I didn't net them properly, so they might have a few caterpillars in them. Here's my leeks, not looking really healthy because they're very prone to different sorts of diseases up on the allotment. And but they're growing, and I find that if you leave them in long enough, they'll outgrow the disease, and then during the winter they'll thicken up and become a good crop. My onions look decidedly sorry for themselves. They've been attacked by slugs and disease, but there are 1 or 2 successes. So that's good. And the shame about the cardoon plant, because although it's died, blown over by the wind, it's got some lovely flowers. This is what we're growing them for. The bees love them. The bees love them, but they should be looking really healthy. And these onions in the bin, although they've been ravaged by slugs and some sort of fungal disease, they're actually not too bad. There's going to be a harvest from them, so that's good. Nasturtiums just reseed themselves and grow every year. Massive colour. Underneath there, somewhere, are strawberry plants. But we will see. The apples are looking magnificent. So I'm really pleased about that. And the blackberries look as though they could be a good crop, but may need a bit of rain or good water. And the cardoon, the bumblebees in the cardoon, they love it. Another one over there. Still getting used to this camera. So there we are. It's not too bad. I'll just show you one last thing. These are the elephant garlic in here. That is elephant garlic. Which doesn't look too bad. So I'll get the rest of those up, store them. And this is just green manure. Freshen up this bin for next season. I'll put some manure in there as well. Top it up with compost, and then I haven't decided what to grow in there yet. Some very fine looking beetroot plants here. They're just beginning to form little balls. I don't know if you can see that. The parsnips look really good. So, I better get on and do some work. So, in the polytunnel, things are looking very prolific, especially this courgette, but it has produced masses of leaves, but not as much fruit as I would like. Although normally courgettes produce more fruit than you can use. A bit like the cucumbers in here that are looking good. Another one, there's a couple in there. Yeah, cucumbers are looking very good. So I'll pick some of those. And the gherkins are getting more than gherkins, but we just can't keep up with. All you need is one gherkin plant. But the tomatoes are coming on, and we have at least one melon. I think there's another one in there somewhere. Who knows what's in there? It's just all gone wild. I'll have to rethink how to grow these next year. There's another melon plant here, a different variety. Hasn't produced any melons yet, but is coming on well. Now, there should be, somewhere in here, there are aubergine flowers. And I was hoping there might even be an aubergine fruit, but not yet. Oh, I don't know. Have to have a look in a while. Tomatoes coming on in here. Need these crimson blush, I think they're called. They're just so vigorous. always producing new shoots and don't really want side shoots, so I have to keep cutting them off, but really vigorous, but hopefully it will produce lots of fruit. I'm gonna have to plan what I grow next year a bit more carefully. I just threw things in because I was a bit late getting the polytunnel up, so all the calendula looking good, probably too many in there, and the rocket, really tasty, spicy rocket, love it. So I'm really pleased with the state of the polytunnel at the moment.